It started almost the instant the music began. A mile below the surface of the lake, near the opposite shore, an army began to rise from the dead. The black uniformed corpses broke loose from their moorings, rose to the surface, and began to drift toward shore. As more and more of the semblance of life returned, the drifting became swimming motions, then wading. They fell into ranks on the shore. Under the steel helmets, their complexions were greenish, their eyes heavily lidded, their black lips drawn back in wide grimaces. The mouths of the officers and non-coms moved, forming words of command, though no sound came forth. No sound was needed, it seemed, for the orders were instantly obeyed. Once again, the power that had been granted to Adolf Hitler by the Illuminated Lodge in 1923, "Because you are so preposterous," they told him at the time. The power that had manifested itself in steel-helmed armies that had won Hitler an empire stretching from Stalingrad to the Atlantic, from the Arctic Circle to the Saharan Desert. Once again, that power was visible on the earth.
"They are coming. I can feel it,"
Werner whispered to his twin Wilhelm as Wolfgang thundered on the drums and Winifred belted out, "This is the dawning of the Age of Bavaria. Age of Bavaria. Bavaria. Bavaria." The tanks and artillery were rolling into position. The caterpillar treads of the troop carriers were churning. Motorcycle couriers sped up and down the beach. The dead men removed black rubber sheaths from rolled-up red, white, and black banners and unfurled them. Many of them were the familiar swastika flags and banners of the Third Reich, with one addition: a red eye and pyramid device superimposed on the center of each swastika. Other banners carried Gothic letter mottos such as Drang nach Osten and Heute die Welt, Morgens das Sonnensystem. At last, all was in readiness. The blue-black lips of General of the SS Rudolf Hanfgeis, 30 years dead, shaped the command to march, which was relayed in similar fashion from the higher-ranking officers to the lower-ranking officers to the men. The lights and music on the opposite shore beckoned across the dark, bottomless waters. Moonlight glinting on the death's heads on their caps and runic SS insignia on their collars, the soldiers moved out, company by company. The only sound was the growl of the diesel engines of troop carriers and the clank of weapons.
"They're coming,"
said the woman under Hagbard, who was neither Mavis nor Stella nor Mao, but a woman with straight black hair, olive skin, fierce black eyebrows, and a bony face.
"Coming, Mother,"
said Hagbard, giving himself up to the irresistible onward sweep of sensation, to the brink of orgasm, and over.
"I'm not your mother,"
said the woman.
"Your mother was a blonde, blue-eyed Norwegian, and I look Greek now, I think."
"You're the mother of all of us,"
said Hagbard, kissing her sweat-damp neck.
"Ah,"
said the woman.
"Is that who I am? Then we're getting somewhere."
Then I started to flip. Malik, eclipsed by Malaclips and Chelene, hardly serene. Mary Lou, I worship you. The red eye is my own mooning. What is the meaning of moaning? And such like seminal semantic antics. My head is a quick-tran quicksand, where the territorial imperative always triggers stay off my turf. The Latin and the Saxon at war in poor Simon's synapses. Dead men fighting for use of my tongue. Turning population explosion into we're fucking overcrowded, and backward also. So it might emerge copulation explosion, and besides, Hag bared straits from this black and white mass. The acid was in me. I was tripping, flipping, skipping, ripping, on my way with Moutsy Toutsy, for the number of Our Lady is 156. There is wickedom, but I never expected it this way. "What do you see?" I asked Mary Lou.
"Some people who are swimming coming out of the lake. What do you see?"
"Not what I'm supposed to see." For the front line, Clear as claritas was Mescalito from my peyote visions, and Osiris with enormous female breasts, and Spider-Man, and the Tarot Magus, and good old Charlie Brown, and Bugs Bunny with a Tommy gun, and Jughead, and Archie, and Captain America, and Hermes thrice blessed, and Zeus and Athena, and Zagreus with his lynxes and panthers, and Mickey Mouse and Superman, and Santa Claus, and Laughing Buddha Jesus, and a million birds, canaries, and budgies, and gaunt herons, and holy crows, and crowley hoes, and eagles, and hawks, and mourning doves, for morning never ends, and they'd all been stoned since the late Devonian period, when they first started eating hemp seeds. No wonder Huxley found birds the most emotional class of life, singing all the time, stoned out of their bird-brain skulls, all singing, I circle around, except the mynah birds squawking, here, kitty, kitty, kitty. And I remembered again that existence isn't sensible any more than it's hot or red or high or sour. Only parts of existence have those qualities. And then there was the Zigzag Man, and my God, my Father, leading them in singing, Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, the union makes us strong.
I say,
said an Englishman.
I thought he was a monster, and he's only Toad of Toad Hall, with Rat, and Tinkerbell, and Wendy, and Bottom.
That's who you are,
said Hagbard.
if you can call that any kind of a fucking identity.
I think it's time you went up on stage and made our little announcement,
said the woman.
I think everyone is ready for that.
Hagbard has been putting us on all along,
Simon says dreamily. It doesn't matter in the first bardo.
Those Nazis have been dead for 30 years, period. He just brought us here to put us on a trip. Nothing is coming out of the lake. I'm hallucinating everything.
Something is happening.
Mary Lou insisted vehemently.
Oh, it's got nothing to do with the lake. That's a red herring to distract us from the real battle between your Hagbard and those crazy musicians up there. If I wasn't tripping, my head would work better, damn it. It's got something to do with sound waves. The sound waves are turning solid in the air. Whatever it is, the rest of us aren't supposed to understand it. This lake thing is just to give us something we can understand, or almost understand.
Her black face was intense with intelligence, battling against the ocean of undigestible information pouring in through all of her senses.
Dad!
Simon cried, weeping happily.
Tell me the word. You must know now. What is the word?
Kether,
said Tim Moon blissfully.
Cather? That's all? Just Kabbalism?
Simon shook his head.
It can't be that simple.
Kether,
Tim Moon repeats firmly.
right here in the middle of Malkuth. As above, so below.
I see the throne of the world. One single chair, 23 feet off the ground, studded with 17 rubies, and brooding over it, the serpent swallowing its tail, the rosy cross, and the eye. Who was that nice man?
Mary Lou asked.
My father.
Simon said, really weeping now.
And I may never see him again. Morning never ends.
And then I understood why Hagbard had given us the acid, why the Weather Underground and Moratori used it constantly. Because I started to die. I literally felt myself dwindling to a point and approaching absolute zero. I was so shit-scared. I grabbed Simon's hand and said, "Help," in a weak voice. And if he had said, "Admit you're a cop first, then I'll help," I sure as hell would have told him everything, blurted it all out. But he just smiled, squeezed my hand gently, and murmured, "It's alive." And it was. The point was giving off light and energy. My light and my energy, but God's also. And it wasn't frightening because it was alive and growing. The word omnidirectional halo came to me from somewhere. Was it Hagbard talking to Dillinger? And I looked. Holy key Ritz, Dillinger split in two as I watched. That's the answer to one question. There were two Dillingers. Twins. In addition to the fake Dillinger who got shot at the biograph. 0 equals 2, I thought, feeling some abstract eternal answer there, along with the answer to some of the questions that had bugged so many writers about Dillinger's criminal career. Like why some witnesses claimed he was in Miami on that day in 1934, when other witnesses claimed he was robbing a bank and killing a bank guard in East Chicago. And why Hagbard had said something about him being in Las Vegas, when I could see him right here in Ingolstadt. But it was all moving, a single point. But everything coming out of it was moving. A star with swords, and wands projecting outward as rays. A crown that was also a cup and a whirling disk. A pure white brilliance that said, I am Ptah, come to take you from Memphis to heaven. But I only remembered the cops who beat Daddy up in Memphis and made him swear when he got back that he'd never go south again. And how did that tie in with why I became a cop? And Ptah became Zeus, Bacchus, Wotan, and it didn't matter. All were distant and indifferent and cold, not gods of humanity, but gods above humanity, gods of the void, brilliant as the diamond, but cold as the diamond. But I also know the real God is beyond God, and the real Illuminati is beyond the Illuminati. The Illuminati we're fighting are puppets of another Illuminati, and so are we.
It's alive, baby,
Simon repeated.
It's alive. And I love you, baby, even if you are a cop.
The whole lake is alive.
The vibe man with the fillet of soul was trying to explain to the rest of that group.